know more than we know. So you know those people that are more interested in the activities you are doing. Then, even if you are here as a technical member, it behoves on you to report back to the person that will be in the steering committee level or the council level once it is in your area of activity. Then development of a state medium-term plan for ease of implementation of the long-term plan. Like I said, whatever plan that we are doing, be it for 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years, we are still going to break it down to some years that we'll be able to monitor over time. And all of us, we are going to agree which year. I know the rapporteurs are taking notes so that we know areas that we really need to take the concurrence of all of us. And like for the attendance that was taken, we are going to have a group where people will be expected to, even if we are not taking all the questions there, people will make their opinion known. It will be brought back, we'll review before we continue. The third one is to generate on periodic basis monitoring and evaluation reports on the implementation of the plan. So whatever plan we are having, we are going to have an M&E report to benchmark where are we, where we are coming from, where are we not achieving as expected, what can we do to probably correct right the wrongs. So undertake fiscal and socio-economic studies and diagnosis and disseminate the results to the general public. This document will be in the public domain and people will be asking questions. So whether you like it or not, there are some people there watching whatever we are doing. A renowned professor called me yesterday, Bumi, what are you doing? You are not even inviting us. Don't worry, we are becoming old and we know where you are going. You know him, Professor Ladipo Damalekun. You know these are public analysts that they will sit down and see what you are doing. So whether you like it or not, for your sector, except to come out with something that can really stand the test of time. If not, you'll be asked to answer questions and questions and questions over. And it's going to be in the public domain. Whatever we are doing, apart from the fact that it's on live streaming today, is we are going to put the live on our own portal of the ministry. So people will log on and see what we are doing, ask questions, and because we like having feedback. And our feedback module is very rich. So we'll also be engaging experts. The terms of reference, it allows this council to engage experts through consultants to work with the council subcommittee to assist in articulating the state long-term stroke medium-term development plan. It's also part of the terms of reference. Also review the state development plan at specified interval and in line with the prevailing realities. We are also going to agree the time that we want to be sitting down to review it. Do we do it at the end of every year, or at the end of every 2 years, or at the end of every 3 years? So all those ones are the terms of reference that will be agreed. It's not as if ESCO will just decide for us, but it is the general council members, the stakeholders that will agree that these are the milestones that will be achieved within a specified period, and this is the way we want to achieve it. So what are the institutional arrangements for the crafting of the state's plan? Like I said, for now, we are looking at Ondo Agenda 2050. All of us there, we might say, no, that is not realistic. We've gone through some literatures. It might not be good that we are looking at 2050. Are you getting me? If 2050 is not good enough, we all agree it's not good enough. What we want is 2000, or well, this is what we want also. So, okay. Yes, we just run through. So the state executive, this is the body responsible for approval and ratification of the plan. Like I said, whatever we are doing. They want to take us to the steering composition of the membership of the steering committee for the preparation of this project. Just put your cursor on it and double click now. Okay. So we just do a run through. Oh, bold in a little. Increase. Okay. That is the membership of the State Steering Committee for the preparation of the document. Okay. I think let's just be looking at it that way. You know, use your console. From there, it will be faster. Okay. Because of our time, I will not want to waste our time. So for the steering committee, I will only act as the secretary. Yes? Ayeni, join them now. Time, oh. Thanks to the membership of the technical committee. Please, just a minute or two. Like I was trying to say, we have the State ESCO Council. Okay. Then we have the State Steering Committee. This is the umbrella responsible for providing guidance and policy direction in the state in the plan preparation. So the steering committee is chaired by Mr. Governor, while the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget is the Vice Chairman. So the membership is as displayed. I will produce a copy or send it to your mail. Then we also have the Ondo State Joint Planning Council. This is the umbrella body for the preparation of the plan. The major role of the Joint Planning Council is to provide oversight in crafting of the state long-term development plan. We also have the technical committee. Please, I want to have the technical committee. Yeah, thank you. Under the different, the technical committee, okay. So the main technical committee is to be chaired by the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. But let me say, that is an office, so it's not Bumi Alade. And if peradventure, we have better person that will chairman it. And Prof already advised us. Of those ministries, all of us will agree that permanent secretaries sometimes, they might not be in a place where they have comparative advantage. You know, permanent secretaries are generalissimo. You are just to provide the policy direction. You are just to superintend or supervise. Where you have experts that knows more than you know, like if I'm in works now, I'm a chartered accountant. There is no how I will perform or no, I don't know anything about bill of quantity or anything. So let's look at it that way. So what we are saying is, yes, for this, we are doing technical work there. So it must be subject master experts. Prof. For the technical committee, those experts, sector champions. You know, champions are the high flyers. So we should consider that. So we'll be having them. Like I said, because of our time, I will not bore you with that, but I'll put it, please, let's put it on our website so that people can log on and tell us which area you put it and the... So the proposed plan architecture, that is slide 16. Let's go to slide 16. Yeah. So development pillars and the thematic areas of the Ondo State Agenda 2050. Like I said, this is just a recommendation by Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget that is subject to your approval. We might not be very good in grouping. If you are coming out with something better, we'll subscribe to it. So we are having 6 pillars. The first one is the economic pillar that will warehouse agriculture and food security, industry and investment, oil, gas, and solid mineral development, culture, and tourism. I know for people in that ministry, you know what we are talking about. Infrastructural pillar, communication and digital revolution, works and transport, and under that, road, rail, water, and air. Then water resources, transport, electricity. Then the third pillar, urban and rural development pillar, land and land use, housing and urban development, rural and community development, rural roads. The fourth pillar, social and welfare development pillar. We have the education, the health, the social protection, the youth and sports development. Then the fifth pillar, sustainable environment pillar. That will be talking about waste management, pollution control, sanitation, flooding, and drainage. Then the sixth pillar, governance, security, and safety pillar. People in administration, public finance, security and safety, then law and order. We have, don't worry, because of our time, he wants to bring the low down. We'll send that to them, please, because of our time. So, expected outcomes of the council. The expected outputs of the council include: 1, we are going to be expected to produce a long-term development plan document, the medium-term document, and also the medium-term sector strategies. So in concluding, ladies and gentlemen, as members of the Ondo State Joint Planning Council, charting the trajectory of development in the states rests squarely on our shoulders. We here, at whatever level, we are to chart the way forward, and it rests on us. So all hands must therefore be on deck for this Herculean task, which must be carried out with all seriousness. Thank you for listening.
That is a good one, and that shows that already the ministry is at work. They already have an idea of where we're going. I'm sure they must have digested the fiscal responsibility law inside out, and they are working in that direction. Like I said earlier, this is a long time coming. That is, we've been waiting for this, and this is the moment, and we are all going to key into it. As time goes on, I want to believe that the ways and manners this will be configured, will be spelled out. But having said that, we all heard from the people concerned. We've listened to the lectures from the prof himself. We've heard from the other prof, the prof in the local and the prof in Abuja. You know them by the size. So they have both spoken, and of course, our essay tried to, even redefine and give meaning to SDG as asking, that is, each and every one of us, how are we contributing to the SDGs? She's even saying, if you have borehole in your house, you cannot use the whole water. Are you giving it out to your neighbor? How many of us have gone to the hospital to donate blood this year? Ask yourself. We all have a role to play in bringing everybody together, in making this a great nation. So, having listened to all this, I'm sure we must have comments and we must have questions. And please, as you indicate, we'll take all the notes, and the presenter concerned will answer accordingly. But before I throw this open to everybody, I want to call on Mrs. Ada. Mrs. Ada Balogun. Yeah. So I'm sure she will have one of the things to say as one of our partners. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, from UNICEF, we bring you greetings. And thank you, because Oshun gave me that name, not Ondo State. But coming back to the plan, like I mentioned earlier this morning, it is important, and all of the speakers, all of sister here, I have a new sister now, have all stressed the importance of long-term planning. I know that many of us had looked at Lagos, and I gathered that some of why we have had some kind of sustainable development has been because there was a long-term plan, and that plan had been followed by several governors that have been in the state. And I think that is what the state here is trying to set out, a plan on the sustainable development goals. And the essay has also gone through it, pointing out which of them is in the sustainable development goal. So we are happy that this is happening, and like everyone has said, we all need to take this with all seriousness, knowing that this will impact on lives. You know that for UNICEF, we look at children, we are mandated to protect the rights of children from childhood through adulthood so that they are able to thrive, they are able to develop and reach their full potential. And in Nigeria, we say that children are our future. We know that. So we are glad that this has been captured in the plan, in what we plan to do. And if this plan is properly developed and followed through by subsequent governments, we'll be able to achieve full potential for our children. We'll be sure that our children will thrive. And once our children thrive and develop, we are sure that the economy of the state will grow. So on that note, we want to say well done, and we are on standby to provide any support that will be required, especially technical support to the state in developing this plan. Thank you.
I cannot see your round of applause to that. Thank you very much. Thank you again. Yeah, having said that, let's now go to comments, questions, and answers. So please, you may indicate by raising up your hand so that we know that you have comment or questions. Thank you very much. Who's going to first shot? Wow. No comment? No question? Please indicate number one. Who again? So let's have the first shot.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of this council, mine is not a question per se. I just want to make a request for the paper presented by the Prof. I don't know whether we can have it available for us. Thank you very much.
Well, I understand we'll get that. We all like to have papers. AIDS protection. Yes, sir.
My question goes to Prof. Simple question. How long did it take you from the conceptualization and at the time you disseminated your plan? How long did it take you? How long did it take Osun State for the year? Then the other one is that when you were making your presentation, I observed that there was no emphasis on situation analysis. Situation analysis. You never mentioned anything about it, because if you're looking out to the future, I feel we should be able to track results from what we have now with what we're going to see in the future. Then another thing you didn't talk about, you mentioned the issue of comprehensive media plan. I didn't see comprehensive monitoring and evaluation, which is also very key to track results. Then on one of your slides, when you were comparing strategic planning with other plans, you categorize strategic planning as a top bottom. Maybe I feel that, I don't know, maybe that's a mistake because strategic planning is actually a bottom-up approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Okay. My profs.
That must have been. Thank you very much for your observations. The professor from Abuja is just telling me that he also noted what you observed. This top down and well, of course, let me start from the first question, which is on how long does it take? For us, it took us about 11 months. 11 months to complete the process. From the day we started the envisioning to the day of launching, 11 months. But yours can be faster. It depends on the commitment of the people that are working in the various technical sessions. If reports are coming in as planned, it shouldn't take as much. But the problem is when a particular sector is not forthcoming, it will slow down all the other sectors because the document cannot be finalized until all sectors are ready. And that is why we are saying that the permanent secretaries in the various, or let me say the sector champions, must be committed and they must make use of the best of their staff to support them so that they can deliver quickly. You will have to do situation analysis, of course. So when you are doing situation analysis, it's not something you just sit down and write. You have to first read extensively to be able to have a very deep understanding of the current situation of your sector. And in looking at your sector, of course, in writing the situation analysis, you must have considered and consulted various policy documents that has to do with that particular sector. So these are things that you have to do, and it requires commitment and expertise of people that are going to work in those particular areas. So for us, from January 15th, when we started the 2018, when we started the envisioning workshop, we completed it on November 26th when it was launched. And the entire process now, there are so many other things that you still have to do in between all those things before you can have a document that you can put online and say people can look at it. That is the time it took us. Media plan, no M&E plan. Of course, there's no way anybody will develop a state development plan without an M&E plan. And I said it very clearly that yes, when you have a state development plan, of course you are going to have a result framework. From your result framework, that is what you are going to use to develop your M&E plan. So naturally, it is assumed when you have a state development plan that you are going to have an M&E plan, an implementation plan, etc., etc. But remember that when I started my presentation, I said this is not a session where we are going to do the actual envisioning and writing the plan. It's just for us to let us know what are those specific things that we must take note of in the process of developing the plan. Comprehensive media plan at the level of the development of the plan is far, far more important at this particular stage. Knowing fully well that when you are going into the nitty-gritties of actually developing the plan, naturally, MRE plan must come as part of those things that you are going to talk about. I just mentioned MTSS. I didn't tell you how should MTSS be developed. I mentioned MTF. I didn't tell you what are those things that are involved, because I know once you get to the stages of doing all those things, and more importantly, Ondo has been doing some of those things. What remains is just for Ondo to align what they have been doing before with now the state development plan, which guarantees that there is policy, plan, budget linkage. That is the level you are moving to. What you are doing at the electoral level must be institutionalized within a particular policy, which is what the plan is going to bring out. And by the time you are developing your sector strategies, MTEV and all the likes, and the thing is dovetailing into the budget, which is the annual plan, of course, we will be able to see that there's a connection between the policy, the plan, and the budget, where the resources is going, on an annual basis. And finally, there is an omission here, or misinformation. Naturally, strategic planning should be inclusive. That's what we said. And if you are going to make a plan to be inclusive, it has to be bottom up. It cannot be top down. Thank you for that observation.
Thank you very much, Prof. Any other comment? Okay. In the absence of comments for now, I think it's better we just roll it into that last segment, which is looking at some. Okay. Okay. And that is discussion, deliberations on the council's role and responsibilities, then in terms of reference of the council. I think Chief Bumi Alade will lead us in that briefly. It's going to be very brief.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, what we intend doing with that item on the agenda is to agree some things. And the number one is to agree on what is the time span that we want the long-term plan to take that we feel is good enough for us. So we want comments from all of us. Yes, like we are looking at 2050, but some schools of thought have said, yeah, 2021 to 2050 is 29 years, have we? Let's debate, let's come out with postulations and reason why we are saying no or why we are saying yes. And please, we are harvesting the inputs, and this is a time for us to agree on some. Oh yeah. Oh.
All protocols duly observed. I'm Sir David Ologun. I believe we should be looking at 10 years because there are a lot of variables which we cannot control. Like what happened recently, the COVID 2019. Nobody envisaged it. So all the plan that people had, organization had been derailed by virtue of that factor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm of the opinion that I'm Femi Aladinola. I work in rural and community development. I want to build my submission on the last speaker. The example which he gave will actually hurt a 10-year plan. The COVID-19 thing that happened, if the plan is too short, you might not be able to recover. I feel we should align it with the time frame of the global plan, which should be 15 years. And we have a 5-year period for review. And we can review twice before the plan expires. The first 5 years, we review. After another 5 years, we review. And the third phase, the last 5 years, you can now start planning a new budget. So 15, not too short, not too long.
I'm Mashani on my name. Actually, my brother spoke part of my mind. We have two components, the redeemed agenda, and then we have the SDG. The question therein is, what is the target of SDG? It's paramount. We cannot set our own target outside one of the two pillars that we are trying to key into. That's the first one. Why the other man said 10 years? Normally it is assumed that the minimum for long-term planning would be between 9 and 10, which is conventional. But nowadays, I think that has changed to minimum of 15 years. For some reasons, best known to our professors. Thank you. So the minimum should be 15. But then the question is, if we are making use of SDG as part of our pillar, what is the target of SDG? Do we operate in consonance or we operate in discordance?
Thank you. Okay, Franklin, yes.
Well, thank you. My name is Franklin Oloniju. I work with the civil society organization. I just think that I believe that the way you see the future also determines how long you can go as a country, as a people. I also think that we have examples of what can propel us to see beyond now around us. We have people now that are thinking about going to stay in the moon in the next 10, 15 years or shorter time. I think for this development plan, we need to be futuristic. And I mean, for me, I've seen that in the next 20 years, I want to see how Akoko we should be looking at what should be in Akoko by that time. How Arakale should look in the next 15 to 20 years. So I think let's not limit ourselves with time. Let's be as far-reaching as we want to think as a state. So I think we can leave it at that 21 years. For me, I would have said 30. But if we think 21, we shouldn't be shorter than that 21. Rather, if we want to go the whole log. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sir.
Chris Kolawole is the name. I represent Citizens Development Initiative, a civil society organization. With the benefit of hindsight from the Vision 2020, which I was privileged to serve on, we saw that it was a 20-year vision. And then we now had implementation plans, 5-year implementation plans. So actually, it depends on what we want to achieve. If we want to look very far and a vision where we want to be in the year 2050, there is nothing that says we cannot do that and have it along with then the implementation plans along the way. Now, when you are looking at a far distance, at a vision, you are looking at the broad strokes. You cannot begin to come down to the details at that one. But to say that maybe at so time, this is where we want to go, these are the different options and so on. Because, for example, places like Dubai, they are already talking about 2050. America, you have even up to 100. So it depends on what you really want. But the farther it is a broad stroke, then you now come back to break it down into implementation plans. So there is nothing that says you cannot combine both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doctor, once again.
Thank you very much, sir. I think just like the last speaker, it depends on what the state wants to achieve. Bearing in mind that at the end of 2030, UN will come up with another development or so number of goals, because we started with the MDG, isn't it? So I think we can look at it in two ways. Look at what we can achieve along the SDG, and also look at some things we can do after 2030. So for me, I would say like 25 years is okay. Thank you.
Sorry? 25.
Well, let me just give this information. For SDG is looking at 2030. SDG is looking at 2030. While at the world level, we are looking at 2050. But the reality of it is that 2050 from now is 29 years. And like some people whisper, especially at Nala retreat, from now to 2050, talking of 29 years, a lot of indices will have changed. Sure, you understand? Yes, we are looking at long-term plan. But if we want our plan to be smart enough, if we want it to be smart enough, 2050 might be a very long, 29 years is much. That, just like for the digital revolution, it took place within this last 10 years, and almost everything have changed. We now make payment through phone. Many of us no longer carry cash. All these things happened within this last 3-4 years. And it has changed the face of money transfer completely. So bearing that in mind, I just want to give those background information that even the SDG 17 goals that we are looking at, that is the UNDP way of doing things, is 2030. But the world is looking at 2050. Can we not have something between that we can have plans that are smart?
Well, sorry, but I think one thing is that the SDG started some 5 years ago. It was meant to be for 15 years. There have been a lot of changes between that last 5 years and now. But one question I will ask is, has it changed the thinking of what we want to achieve at the end of that SDG program? Now, and I am sure that even looking beyond the expiration of the current SDG time, even another 10 years time thereafter, still the thinking, that is the vision of the SDG will still not change. There can just be, we can only accommodate some other new things depending on what technology is and what the global, perspective is. It's just a background. We are coming to it.
Thank you very much, sir. Of my own view, is slightly different. And different in the sense that I think we still need a larger house to pick a date. We said it's an inclusive thing. If we are deliberating now, we are shifting. Some people will come when you decided I was not there. Let's have us because right now, most of us seated here are permanent secretaries. We are the youths. We are the disabled. We are part of the market women. Where is the opposition parties? Because when we want to do this thing, let's get it right from day one. The moment we miss it, honestly, we would all not be happy. We have a goal. SDG has a goal. SDG has a dream. But have they been able to achieve? Yes. No matter what comes when you are changing things, the moment you start to write, nothing will change. You might only be changing maybe finances, trying to adjust one thing or the other, but infrastructural development will not change. Primary health care will keep improving. Means to rural areas, connection between rural and urban cities will not change. But let us all be here. Because what we are deciding now is the future of every indigene of Ondo State, not a sector of Ondo State. So let us just give ourselves kudos for what we have done. I would plead with the permanent secretary of budget, who is the head of our technical team. Let us still get more house. Let us still do more of the media. Let us still get the local government people. Because as we speak, I don't know if the president of the Argon is here. I don't know how many chairmen are here. People from Akoko Southwest, the remote part of area. We are Northwest is closer here. It's Ikere. We are talking of Ikpe. Southeast. Where? Oga, not going out, because you are the one going to talk to your people. We want everybody to participate. You know something about me, I don't like starting a failed project. I'm a very passionate person when it comes to doing anything. And at the end of the day, I love to challenge anybody who accuses me by bringing out my books. So don't let us do the normal fire brigade approach. People are tired. We can't get the best out of our people again. They've been here since morning. You've been giving them biscuits. And at the end of the day, when they are going home, we don't have envelope. So permanent secretary, get yourself equipped before you get us seated. Thank you.
Well, I join you in clapping for the essay, for the art submission. Thank you very much, sir. But honestly, I just want to make these remarks. Whether we like it or not, those of us here, we have a lot of influence on our people. And on the average, bringing this battery of individuals here today, I believe, if not the best brains, it is close to the best brains in the community. I'm pleased to know that apart from having the chairman of local government here, we also have their representative here. However, what Madam is trying to say in a very light way is that it's been a very busy day. Most of us got to the hall 8:30 a.m. this morning. In fact, some people were there 8 a.m. today. And I give kudos to you, and it really shows commitment. I think we can clap for ourselves. Bearing in mind what Madam said, I will only say that, please, there are some of the things that we must look into very well. Like, the starting point is that we want to craft an agenda, and the date or the duration is going to be attached to it. That is very major. And yes, whatever we agree, it becomes automatic that everybody will have to key into it. If it is 2050, if it is 2030, if it is 2040, we just have to. And it now becomes unique to us. I know I've taken Prof on a lot of debates relating to it, but whatever we agree, majority carries the vote, and so be it. Then, different from that, I want to say, as a take-home too, we must continue to look at the various committees that we already suggested. Please, let's start from one. Let's start from one. We cannot have time now to look at it, but I feel what we'll do, we'll put our website there, www.Ondo Economic Planning. Please, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, ondostate.org. We'll put the various committees there. We'll put the 2 paper presentations there. So we can always have, you go to our feedback module and you give us feedback. But for the paper presentation, then for the groups, the 6 pillars, all those that are constituting the 6 pillars are there. Then you see sector lead, like for Agric now. Ministry of Agriculture is the sector lead. But let me tell you, the PS might not be an agricultural specialist. If he's not, he might want to appoint, you might want to agree, you know, when you get to the sector, you agree who can really do the lead. Are we together, please? Hello? Under the economic pillar, we have about 5 areas. Agric and food security. Oh yeah, move up. We have the industry and investment promotion. We have the oil, gas, solid minerals development. We have the culture and tourism. Then, you know, okay, that's for the economic pillar. Then for the infrastructure, you see, communication and digital, water resources, works and transport. So you look at it. So whichever ministry that you fall into, please, the sector lead should start to call meetings so that the strategy, the background work will start. In the same vein, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget might not be in a position to... Yes, sir. Okay.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I just have a suggestion. Number one is the one that has been resolved with the intervention of SA, that it is better before you decide on what should be the horizon of the plan. Let us get all the stakeholders together so that we avoid what we say we should avoid. We should avoid just talking to ourselves. If we put on the cap that we are going to be the one to plan for the people, we are not getting them to be part of it. That will not be too good enough. Let it be a consensus of bureaucrats and the people, rather than the bureaucrats deciding and we are only going to the market to sell what we have decided. We say we should avoid that, and let us avoid it. Number two, this one is an advice to the Minister of Economic Planning and Budget. P.S. What you have done, fantastic job.
you have come up with a list of all agencies of government that are in this state. And in a way, you have tried to put them into some clusters. But my suggestion would be that, yes, it is good at this point, just leave it this way. By the time you are coming for the envisioning, when you are doing the real envisioning, the consultant that is going to